Hey, Math 8, it's Mr. Mock. We're in our 7th week of this distance learning experience, and um, we're going to do more volume. So last week I felt like it went really well when we were looking at volume of a cylinder. If you recall, the volume of a cylinder, equals, we called that pi r squared times h, okay? And so now we're going to continue with volume, starting with a cone, all right? Now a cone, if you think about a cone, it's very similar to a cylinder, right? It has a circle base, it has a height, right? But the difference is the sides come up to a point, right? Very different from a cylinder. Cylinder, full shape, cone comes up to a point, kind of like a pyramid. The cool thing about a cone is the volume of a cone is actually 1/3 of that of a cylinder. So you actually use the exact same formula, pi r squared h, but you take 1/3 of it, okay? Because 3 cones, if you had a cylinder right next to this that had the same exact height and the same exact base, and you filled this cone with water, you'd be able to pour 3 of those cones perfectly into a cylinder of the same height. Pretty cool, right? So to find the volume of this cylinder, you do 1/3 of that same formula we used last week, okay? So in this case, I have a radius of 4. I have a height of 9. And there you do 1/3 pi r squared, so that's 4 squared times 9. And then that would be 1/3 pi. 4 squared is 16 times 9. Now this is where we can do some, look for ways to make this easier, right? I have 1/3 here. To do 1/3 of a number means I'm looking for a number that I can divide by 3. That's what 1/3 means. I can't divide 16 by 3, but I can do 9 divided by 3. So I could take 1/3 of 9. 1/3 of 9 is going to make that 3. So I'm going to put a circle here, put a circle here, because I'm going to do that first. I'm going to do 1/3 of 9. So that's going to leave me with pi. I'm going to have 16. And 1/3 of 9 is 3. And then I've got 16 times 3. So 6 times 3, that's 18. It's going to be 48 pi inches cubed. And that would be if we were to do that in pi notation. If we decided to do that in a different way and not use pi notation, we would take out our handy dandy trusty rusty calculator, do 48 times 3.14, and we would get 150.72 inches cubed, okay? So that's for the cone. Now, a sphere. A sphere, or a sphere, as most common, intelligent people say, and I call it a sphere, which there's no reason for that other than being strange. And you've all met me, so you're like, yeah, that checks out. So for the sphere, the good news is that I don't need you to derive, and what that means is explain the formula, okay? I just need you to be able to use the formula, because when talking to the algebra teachers at Odyssey, as well, and knowing, having been an algebra teacher at the algebra teachers at Discovery, and having been an algebra teacher at Camas High School, being able to use a formula is important, right? So, and that's like knowing how to plug numbers in for variables and solving that problem. So I'm going to give you the formula for a sphere. It is, and don't stress out too much, because it starts off with 4/3 pi r cubed. That's it. 4/3 pi r cubed. So we look at the sphere, and we have to figure out what is the radius. And thankfully, I drew a nice picture. It shows what the radius of the sphere is. And you're thinking right in the center, out to the sides, right? So your radius is 7. And then it's a matter of just plugging things in. 4/3 pi r is 7 cubed. Now, Mr. Mock, what does 7 cubed mean? Does that mean 7 times 3? No, don't do it. 7 times 3 is not 7 cubed, okay? 7 cubed means 7 times 7 times 7, all right? So 7 squared is 49. 7 cubed means 7 times 7 times 7. And honestly, use the calculator. So in this case, 7, and see where it says x cubed on the iPhone? Some of your calculators will have that. You do x cubed, you get 343. Okay? Now, this next part, when you see 4/3, and I'm just going to go ahead and rewrite this. One of the things that helped me out in working with fractions, you can do 343 divided by 3 because it's in the denominator. When you see a number in the denominator, really that means you're dividing by that number, okay? Just like we did over here. I have 3 in the denominator. That means I divided 9 by 3. I could do 343 divided by 3, but I'm going to tell you that's not going to come out. It's going to give you a decimal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 4 times 343. Okay, so you take this number, multiply it by 4, so times 4. Okay, so now you have pi times 1,372 over 3. And then you would divide that number by 3, and you get this. You get 457.333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333333. Forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Well, you could write that in 2 ways. You can do it this way, pi, and then it's inches cubed again, okay? You could, I'm going to move the page up, you could write it as 457 1/3, because 1/3 is 0.3 repeating, pi inches cubed. You could take that number and multiply it by 3.14, which gets you that monstrosity. So equals, and then for this one I would go approximately 1436, I don't know, 0.03 inches cubed, okay? All of these answers are good. Read the directions on the Khan Academy assignment to know which is which. So you're going to use this formula and this process for the first lesson on cones. This one's for the spheres, which is the second practice in Khan Academy. Please write out your work just like I've done, and then send that to me through Classroom. All right, guys. Have a great week. I will see you at rotation time. Peace out.